What's up, everyone, and welcome to Designated Reports Boxing Podcast. This is episode 7. Excuse me. My name is Louie. I'm your host, and on the other side of that screen, that is Gene. He's your co-host. He's also known as Negro Damas. What's good, brother?
Thank you. How you doing, bro?
Doing all right. So, since you are in the business of making predictions, today is November 3rd. Who you picking to win the election tonight? Please.
I got Biden, man.
You know I'm on that same page. You know we're on the same cush. So Negro Damas has Biden winning. We'll see if he comes out with the correct prediction tomorrow. Hopefully there's no civil war or anything like that. Crazy times. All right, let's get into some boxing. So before we recap what happened this weekend, we've heard some news recently, some crazy news, that Deyontay Wilders has come out and accused Tyson Fury, of cheating. He's accused his corner man being in on it. There's something in the gloves. There's something in the water. Like, dude, what's going on with your boy? Can you call him? Check in on him? Like, what's cracking, man?
Yo, to say 2020 has been a crazy year is you're hitting it right on the head. At this stage in the game, I just don't understand what direction he's going at. Is excuse after excuse. It was a 40-pound weight. His legs were drained. Now, to me, this is the icing on the cake to say that, you know, that your water was spiked and that's the reason why you didn't go out and perform. Dude, just take the L, learn from your L, and move on. You know, like, you're only making yourself worse.
So here's my thing, right? So his water was spiked, right? What was the spike with?
That's what I want to know. It's not like it's spiked with purple Kool-Aid.
If it was spiked, do you take if there's any drug testing from after the fight until now, and I think that fighters might have to take a drug test after the fight, did anything come up in those results?
No.
Right. So I think that he's basically the bully that got beat up. He came back to school, and now he has all the excuses of why he got beat up.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely the fashion that he lost, right? It's not like it was a split decision, a close fight. The fight was pretty much over from the moment that the bell rang, and he was embarrassed, you know, and he's blaming his corner for throwing the towel, but you didn't have it. You didn't have it that night. It's all about your safety, and your corner knows best. They work with you every single day, so they did the right thing. You didn't have it that night, come back.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is basically get out of this fight, basically create kind of like an asterisk of, well, Fury only won because of these things. Wilder's going to have a couple fights. Then he's going to bring it back to where he wants to fight Fury. And he's going to talk about Fury cheated. My water was this. My coach was in on it. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to stay relevant. And we talked about this on the last episode, that him not fighting Fury is actually how he does stay relevant. Because if he gets back in the ring with Fury's probably going to mollywop him again. And at that point, his career is done because he's a little bit too more dangerous for other fighters. But at the same time, you know, he's still going to be considered a world-class fighter. So how do you go about scheduling your fighter against somebody who's dangerous? But at the same time, if you win, what are you really going to get from that W, right? Because he already has 3 losses at that point. So I think he's just really trying to fight for his career. I'm sad to see him do it this way, but your man's is bugging. Get your man.
But the only thing that will salvage his career, first of all, he only has 1 L, right? Only thing that's going to salvage his career is you go out and you win whoever's in front of you. But every 2 or 3 months coming out with a different headline, the costume, the water, it was my coach. Other fighters are losing respect for you. Fans are losing respect for you. You know, I cheered for this dude the past 2-3 years. That's my guy, you know, but my love of Deontay Wilder comes from what he does inside the ring. But at the same time, I can't condone the nonsense that I'm watching and hearing in all these crazy interviews, bro. Like, he got to stop it, man. He got to stop it. Go back to the drawing board. Maybe if you want to switch to a different trainer, that's all fine. Come back, win. There's other fighters out there. You will get another fight. Just go out in the ring and perform.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's sad to see him try to stay relevant in this manner, but, you know, that's from times, that's from measures. All right, so that's what's going on in that situation. We don't know if he's going to end up fighting. They have been talking about Fury potentially fighting maybe Dylan White, because I think Dylan White's rematch is now off because his opponent tested positive for COVID, which you were telling me. I personally think that who the fight should be for Fury should be Otto Wallin, fighting out of New York City. He fought him before the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder rematch that second fight. He cut him up. He actually was very competitive. And if it wasn't Tyson Fury, you could argue that fight would be stopped. Who would you like to see Tyson Fury fight next?
I think at this stage in the game, just go with AJ. Just go with AJ, man. End out the year on a positive note. We have two great fights that just happened the past 2 weeks. Finish off the year strong. I mean, obviously, it's probably not going to happen. They're going to wait till next year. But I'll go with AJ, or like you just said, go with Otto. Otto is a good fighter. One thing, he moves in that ring pretty well, which is the type of fighter that Tyson Fury needs to fight against, right? You don't want that stationary guy in Wilder. And Otto Wallin will put up a good fight. He did it before, and he just came off a win over the summer. So run it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes most sense to me. If AJ didn't have I believe a mandatory fight that he has come up in December, but he's going to have to probably after that fight maybe at least 2 months. So if Fury is smart, he's going to try to get a fight within December or January. We both agree that it should be Otto. All right, now moving on to one of the fights coming up that we're both excited about: Devin Haney versus Yuri Gamboa. Gamboa's last fight was versus Tank, right?
I believe so, yep.
Yeah, and I think Haney got some guy out of there pretty early in his last fight. So, I really like Gamboa's skill set. I think he's been on the stage before. Is a little bit later in his career, it is. I do see Devin Haney coming out on top, but I think this is probably going to be his most competitive fight, as well as I do think that Haney might be tested a little bit, but I have it going 12 rounds for decision in Haney's favor. What do you got?
Well, all the dominoes have to fall into place, right? So Lopez took care of business. Tank took care of business. Devin Haney had to take care of business. And everyone's jawing at each other. Everyone wants Lopez. Everyone wants Tank, right? So what do you have to do? Go in that ring, take care of business, which he will do. But going back to the point that you just made, it is going to be a tough fight because Gamboa is not a slouch. He went 12 rounds with Tank, one of the only guys who took Tank 12 rounds. So just focus on what's in front of you. Upsets can happen, and let's see how he performs with a long layoff. But I have him winning this fight. It'll be super competitive. And you know what, man? Take care of business, and then let's see what happens in the new year.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. So, and then somebody who else is in the mix who has to take care of business is Ryan Garcia, who has a Luke Campbell matchup coming up. I think it might be in the next 2 weeks or something like that. I'm trying to look down, see if I got the dates. So that's another guy who's in that mix around 130, 135. It seems like there could be a bit of a single tournament going off here. So now we just talked about Tank. Let's go ahead and start talking about the fight. But before we get into the actual...
Hold on.
All right.
Can I just say one thing? I don't think we should put Ryan in that conversation because he's not winning that fight.
Look, I'm not a huge
Ryan Garcia upset. Fan. That is the upset that's going to happen. He don't need to be put in this conversation.
I really think that Luke Campbell can pull out that fight. And I'm going to be honest with you, if he pulls it off by decision, it's probably going to be the best thing that happens to Ryan Garcia, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But let's, like you had just said, let's see what happens. So anyway, so we had our second boxing night out. We had 4 guests come in and break down the fight with myself. Basically, 3 of the guests picked Tank winning by knockout. I also picked Tank. One of the guests, our first female fighter being joining the show, she actually picked Leo Santa Cruz, I believe, to get a stoppage or the win. She was dead wrong. So what did you see about the fight? And break down that knockout, man. That shit was crazy.
Well, shout out to her for having that prediction and going against the grain, because Leo Santa Cruz is a good fighter. But just watching the fight, number one, from round 1, it was competitive. These guys were letting the hands go. And as much as I love Tank, I did see some deficiencies still in his game, but he can get better from this fight as well, right? He moved around a lot, but he has the equalizer. And we always say it. You can have the speed or whatever, but if you have that equalizer, and you seen it in the 6th round, he knocked that man out so hard. I thought he was dead for a second. I'm going to keep it honest. I started yelling like, yo, bro, get up. Man was on the floor for like a minute. But we all know this is what Tank is about.
Yeah. The last time I saw a knockout that was that devastating was when Pacquiao got dropped by Marquez. Yeah. And we were just kind of like, is he dead? But did he die? Like, what's going to happen, right? So going back to the fight, though. So what I saw that Tank realized that he could walk down Leo Santa Cruz. And while he kind of stayed in front of him, Leo was getting off because he is a volume puncher. But the difference is that Leo could not fight going backwards. Tank was literally walking him down, which allowed Tank to get hit. So now going into the 6th round where Tank got the knockout, if you go back and watch it, Leo Santa Cruz was basically in fight or flight mode, and he chose to fly because he threw the same punch 3 times. The first time it hit Tank, the second time Tank blocked it, the third time Tank was like, okay, I'm going to slip and I'm going to throw this uppercut from the canvas and come all the way up. Yo, that boy's head touched the back of his ass, man. Like, he snapped that boy's neck so fast, so hard. And that was really the difference of the fight, because Tank came forward. He was making adjustments in real time. And, basically that knockout, you've seen how lively Tank is in terms of, okay, I can take your punch, I can block your punch, and then the next step is I can counter your punch. And like you said, he has that equalizer. If you make a mistake, he's going to make you pay, and he's going to get you out of there.
But here's the thing. I mean, with all these fights that Tank has had, I still want his defense to be a little cleaner, though. If we're going to nitpick anything about his performance, that's the only thing. Because next time you step into that ring with a better fighter than Santa Cruz, like let's say if it was a Lopez, he also has that equalizer. But right. I have to see Tank have a little bit more patience and just be a little bit more tighter on the defense. It's cool that you have that bomb, man. That's the equalizer. But look, take it one step at a time and really go off your game plan. But I'll give this performance a 10 out of 10. He came out, he showed out, and he was the #1 trending topic on Twitter. So that's saying a lot. Over 20 million views of that knockout. 20 million just on Twitter.
Wow. I know that this was his first pay-per-view fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. So if you think about, like, this is your homecoming, this is your coming out party, so to speak. And that boy came out.
Yeah, he came out. So will you say that?
Yeah, that boy came out.
Put him up there as one of the next rising pay-per-view stars? Would you say that?
Absolutely. But I want to say this. I want to back up here. So they're taking a page out of Floyd Mayweather's blueprint in terms of who they're going to set up with Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd Mayweather made a run of beating guys who don't know how to move their head. They're entertaining in the sense that they're going to come, they're going to fight, they're going to throw and volume punches, and they're going to be able to take a lot. So if Tank is going to get set up in this same format with his type of power, we can see a guy who could really, as a lighter weight fighter, be at the top of boxing like a Floyd Mayweather, because they're going to line this guy up with the right kind of fights. And until we see somebody make Tank box, we're not going to really know how good Tank can be, kind of like Lomachenko made Lopez. And I wanted to bring those to kind of bridge those two fighters together, because we got one at 135 and one at 130. And I think that the next fight, which is the pay-per-view banger, and it might get pushed off, is Tank versus Lopez, man. So I do think that Tank is going to be a huge
we're not ready for that.
But I'm telling you,
we're not ready for that fight.
Listen, it might be 2 years down the road, but that's the fight that, if those two guys are going to be, basically the big names in the lower classes. Woo! But yeah, 100%. Tank is definitely going to be that dude, man.
Listen, man, if we get Tank and Lopez within these next 2 years, I'll go on record and say that's going to be the top 3 grossing and most watched pay-per-views in boxing history.
Yeah, I think now, especially with social media, and those two guys have such a big following with social media, and they're so young in their careers. If they build out the next year and a half, 2 years, and they're both still undefeated, that's going to be a mega fight, man. So that's what I'm excited to see. Obviously, things have to play out.
So do you think Tank's next move is to kind of go up? Before I cut you off, do you think Tank should move up to the next 135?
Yeah, because look, you beat the best guy at 130. Leo Santa Cruz has 4 belts in those lower divisions. So could you maybe fight Devin Haney at 130? Okay, but you don't have to stay there to fight him. You can wait. If I'm Tank, I'm already busting out the seams. I'm moving up to 135. I'm either chasing Lopez or I'm chasing him out the division.
Yeah.
But so I don't think you answered the question. How do you feel about Tank as far as being a pay-per-view box office star?
Oh, most definitely. He has that it factor, right? It's something like, if you look at a Floyd Mayweather, right? I would say 90% of the people who ever bought his pay-per-views was to watch him lose, right? It's something about Floyd Mayweather that just gets people going crazy, and they don't like supporting him. Like the real heads, the real boxing fans, we support and we love Floyd, but the casuals will always tune in to watch him lose. And I kind of see Gervonte the same way. He has that little flash about him. Hopefully he doesn't get into rapping like Adrian Broner, but a lot of people.
I think he just got locked up.
It's always something, bro. But a lot of people tuned into this fight to watch.
Go ahead.
A lot of people tuned into this fight to watch Gervonte Davis lose. I'd never seen so many Leo Santa Cruz fans come out the woodwork the way I was seeing it online. So he's kind of building that reputation of, okay, you know what, he's the big mouth fighter. He does back it up, but I want to see him lose. So I can see him being that big pay-per-view star. 20 million.
Yeah, listen, Floyd Mayweather is the promoter, right? Mm-hmm. Floyd, when he came out in the big sombrero hat, right? Which Floyd got from his uncle. Basically, they called him the Mexican Killer. So he's taken the blueprint of Floyd Mayweather and said, "Look, we're gonna make you the big bad wolf who's flashy, who's arrogant. Everybody's gonna hear about it, and they can't beat you."
Facts.
But how they're gonna set it up is you're not gonna see Tank fight a lot of guys who can move their head, right? Those fights are gonna have to be forced. That's why we're talking about maybe Lopez being pushed down a couple years. But he's about to clean house with a bunch of guys, because a lot of those lighter weight fighters, they're volume punchers. They come forward. They have a lot of energy. They're really fast. So I think Tank over the next 2 years is going to be probably, outside of the heavyweight division, he's probably going to be the number 1 guy in terms of pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. By far.
All right. So that is episode 7. We're trying to keep you guys, obviously, tuned into boxing news. Look out for more Boxing Night Out. We might even request you to call in and give you your opinion. Gene, let them know where they can find us.
Yes, this episode will be posted on YouTube the next available day, once we get down with some cool edits, put some edits on Louie, get him some bigger shoulders. And it's on every streaming platform as well: Spotify, Apple, Anchor, and SoundCloud.
Peace.